Well, obviously an exciting Friday night. It started off with just the atmosphere. I think that first and foremost, I know it was obviously a great game, and everything's better that ends the way you want it to end. But all in all, I mean, from the student section to the 40-some thousand that we had in the stands, to the game itself, I told our guys afterwards, it's not just the victory. Obviously, the victory is first and foremost and most important, but the energy, the atmosphere in there that the students created, that the fans created, and really that our team created. And because of the way they played, but also because of that sideline, I think is what made that so special. The win obviously capitalizes or caps off everything, but I want our guys to remember that it's not just about that. It's also about that energy, that atmosphere, the things that they really, really love and enjoy. Those are the things that they'll remember forever. Yes, the victory and things like that, but that's when the things really are starting to roll, and you feel the momentum and the energy, and not just in the locker room, but in the community and on the football field and in the student body. So it's really, really special to have two guys, because of the weekend, because of the Friday night, be players of the week in the conference with Jarrell White, defensive player of the week, and then James Smith was special teams player of the week. It's just a recognition. Those guys did an unbelievable job, but the job that the entire team did, you know, to give ourselves a situation, James, to punt the ball inside the 10-yard line 4 times, to change really the complexion of the game and make them have to drive long distances because they are very explosive offensively. And then for Jarrell to come up with some of the plays he did, obviously the big pick down in the red zone. There could have been a few guys that could have obviously been players of the week, you know, with Ahmad Gardner with the pick 6 and Cam Jeffries with a pick, run back 57 yards, all in the red zone. That were huge, huge plays. But I think what that shows you is those might be right there. 2 of them were guys that maybe didn't start. You know, Ahmad Gardner and Jarrell in some ways would say, well, he's not a starter. Yeah, he is. You know, we've got maybe 17 starters in a lot of ways. And I think that's the way we look at it. And when you have those kinds of things, there's a lot of positives that are going on that sometimes get overshadowed by just an incredible victory, an incredible team win. But there's a lot of things, the selfless play of a lot of guys that I think is what really makes me feel good about what's going on in this program and this team.
Production-wise, would you say maybe Elijah Ponder might be going under the radar a little bit, but has been as important as anybody on the defense?
There's no doubt. I mean, I know going into the season, everybody was looking to, hey, there's no way you're going to be able to replace Cortez and Cope. And we didn't want to say somebody was going to go in there and replace those guys, but the ability for those guys to roll it was a big deal. And Elijah's emergence, and I said it after the game, Elijah's earned a lot of respect. And I don't just mean by the coaches, you know, and I don't just mean by the fans and the people out there that just read the stat line. I mean by the guys in this program and this team. The guy was elected the Iron Bearcat, which is one of the big awards in our program over the summer. The guy that really, you know, basically exemplifies our culture every single day, coming in, working, and all the things they do throughout the summer, which is a grind and tough. And he won that because of his ability to affect others. And then he comes out this year, and obviously in camp had an incredible camp, and you know, continued to earn more and more playing time, and his performance has shown. And it's not just those performances on Friday night or Saturday that have made him a big part of this team. It's probably his maturity and his ability to go through some adverse situations in our first 2 years here of not playing a ton, and then all of a sudden working and emerging in the way that I would say you'd really like to see guys emerge, is through a lot of hard work and some adversity, because it means a lot more.
With your young guys like Gardner and others playing so well Friday night, how much does that increase your confidence in them already, and then maybe give you some more options going forward for how you can use those guys?
We know it does. We knew we had to in a unique situation like that with the hurry up and the amount of plays that they were going to play. They had played a lot of ball, and maybe not on Saturdays they played a lot of ball, but throughout camp they played a lot of ball against a lot of good wideouts. You know, we challenged them a bunch, and those weren't guys that, you know, in the first 3 weeks of camp were kind of in the back burner and third-team guys that didn't get a lot of reps, and all of a sudden somebody gets hurt and they're thrown into there. They've been kind of in the fire since we started camp with just the numbers we had at back end and the corner position in particular, and then their ability to play. So that's where you've gained a lot of confidence in them. Obviously, anytime a true freshman's out there, you got a little bit of, you know, anxiety as a coach. just exactly when those big lights come on, what it's going to be like, and especially against a team like that with as much speed as they have and the shots they're going to take. But I think their ability to do what they did in camp has really, really helped us and really helped their confidence in a lot of things.
I know you guys made some adjustments, but is it rewarding to play a team like that and show your players that you can still win with defense and running game just kind of been?
I think you show that you win with all three phases. I think, yes, I think the defense, in some ways you could say, hey, you played 58 snaps. You couldn't get them off the field in the first half enough. Yeah, you played really well in the red zone. Maybe offensively we only had 20-some snaps and, 3 or 4 3-and-outs in the first half and didn't play as well. But I think the ability to make some adjustments and adapt, and sometimes even your special teams got to hold you in. The field goals were big for us. We hadn't kicked a whole bunch of field goals this year, and you wouldn't say sometimes a field goal is, oh man, we kicked a field goal. We gave up 4 points there, but for us in that game, in that situation, to generate some energy through the field goal, kicking, and not just it being 3 points, the way it goes through too is means something. It gave us more confidence to continue to kick, and if we had to kick another one at the end of the game to win the game in a longer range, I'd have felt really good about it. So I think we all are gaining confidence, but I think you gain the most confidence in knowing that you got a lot of the people behind you. If you're a defense and you're struggling, you got confidence that your offense can put you in a situation. If you're an offense and struggling, you got confidence in your defense. If you don't score in the red zone, we've gained a lot more confidence right now and say, okay, it's not at the end of the world. We'll take the 3 points. We believe in what we're doing special teams wise as well.
With Warren's run to the third quarter, it was kind of like a culmination of you guys starting to get a little bit of a rhythm running the ball. What adjustments did you make that allowed you guys to do that better in the second half?
Well, I'd start with saying that I said don't snap the ball. So let's run the quarter out here, and they no, we're good, we're ready. I'm like, are you sure? Don't snap. And then they snapped the darn ball, and 60-some yards later, there goes Mike Warren. So he created a lot of energy. So I'm glad they didn't listen to me right there at that moment, and maybe I was a little late at getting that in. But I think that I'm not saying that we went in the halftime and said, okay, here's the adjustments we're going to make. We're going to block it like this. We're going to go to this level. No, I think it's the combination of continuing to play hard. I think wearing people down. I mean, it wasn't some schematic that put us Mike one-on-one with the All-American safety, and he's going to make him miss and go another 45 yards and make 2 other guys run into each other. If we think that we drew that up on paper at halftime and made some special adjustment, we're not that good, but we believe in our guys, and there's little tweaks here and there that you do, and you keep giving those guys the opportunity. You keep believing in them that they have a chance to wear guys down, and if you can get some of these backs, Mike in particular, to the second level, he's going to make some damage.
And on that run, when you guys were watching the film, came in on Sunday, did you point out Desmond getting down the field and kind of paving the way for the game those extra yards?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we watch more of those things than even the entire run of what it is. We look for O-line guys that are chasing the pile down. We look for O-line guys that are maybe driving a guy over a pile and finishing and those kinds of things. Everybody's probably seen in the top 10 of ESPN or whatever Mike's run, but they might not have pointed out the ability for Dez that's down there trying to get a block, and some of the things that happen right there at the line of scrimmage to give him an opportunity to get to the second level.
Last week we talked a lot about making this past game an event, putting momentum on the game. So gratifying is not just get the win. You touched on it earlier, just to see this city rally around this team and see a night like that, and probably nights you haven't seen that ever.
I have never. First week of the year in UCLA was a really great atmosphere, a great night on a Thursday night, which makes it even a little bit more special because I think that you can captivate some more people with not as much going on around. Originally going into it on a Friday night, I was not excited when the game was announced because high school football is so important and so big here in our community and as well to our football program. But we didn't get that choice. But to see the community, to see people kind of come out and rally, that's what I try to tell our guys, that when you're generating, you're creating something, it's not just the win. I know the win is the culmination of everything, and it's never as good if it's not. But to generate that kind of stuff and that kind of support is what I want for our program, which will continue to allow us to grow, and our guys to realize that energy comes from all different places.
You have to be cautious with your guys now, not be too high going on the road.
Well, I'm hoping that playing on a Friday night gave us a Saturday where we had a chance to kind of soak it in and enjoy it. Players the same way as coaches. That then you can kind of get it out of your system. It's tough if that was a Saturday night. You get done at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, you get home, it's 3. The next day you got to get up and move on, watch it and then move on to the next opponent. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm hoping that, our ability to, have that day to kind of enjoy it a little bit, soak it in, and then realize, that you got to be able to move on to something that's going to be really good for us.
I know you always say you live under a rock, but you were the stat that you start to hear a little bit more buzz over the weekend after how things went on Friday with the Crown result.
I don't get out a whole lot, but I don't know that. All I know is that when you look up in that stands and you see what you saw, and every time I watch the film, we review the film, when you see the scoreboard, because they get the end zone view of the scoreboard and you see it completely packed and filled, that is what reminds me more than anything else, whether, what is written in the paper or what's on the news, or I think the ability for us to create an atmosphere and environment, first and foremost, for our university, for our students, I think that's when other things begin to follow. And you got to give a lot of credit to if that student body didn't do what they did, I'm not saying we wouldn't have still won, but even to generate that much more energy into a stadium from week 1, I think helps a lot of people continue to come back. Obviously, the product on the field helps a lot, but it becoming an event and an atmosphere where it's really enjoyable, whether you're a diehard football fan or not, you can get behind it.
You've played and coached in a lot of hostile environments. Now that you've seen Denver like that, where does it stack up?
It's up there. And again, I don't. Some guys were saying, it was so loud. I'm like, I don't know. I got a headset on, and all I know is I'm trying to scream to a guy and he can't hear me. I think, but what I felt was an energy, and it was an energy that started, I think, in the students and in the crowd. But there was a different energy even on our sideline, and I think. I don't know why. Obviously, because it's a big game, because we're playing well, but there was even something a little bit different. I told the guys that, I'm not going to say that's the greatest game, but I said the greatest thing that I remember and what made it so special and one of the best for me is not just the victory. It's not just that there's 40-some thousand people there, but the energy that I felt, A, on the sideline, and B, in that locker room, is what's different.
How did Phil Harper and McConnell did?
They did a good job. I mean, right after the game, it was one of my first questions. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did Vinny and Harp do? And my first thought was I didn't notice anything, and in that way, that's got to be a very positive thing. As you go back and look at it, I think they did a really good job. I mean, that's a tough defense. Not that there's blitzing as much. They probably blitzed more the Friday night than they do normally, but they got athletes all over the place. And for us to be able to be successful, we'd like to say we had to run the football, but we had to make some plays down the field. And when you show the plays that are made down the field and some of those throws by Dez, the biggest picture is that the pocket is clean. And he had the ability to throw the one on Rashad, which is a long developing route on an over route early, which was a huge throw and a huge play. And the pocket is really clean. And I think those guys did a really good job.
I know we've talked about continuity on front five not being there, but is that maybe a side effect of an ongoing position battle in training camps that they had some reps with the first team?
It is, and that's when other guys got to step up too. The uniquely, to me, more difficult thing is that it was two guys that were side by side. So now they're both kind of relying upon each other. Where, had Hart been next to, Morgan James, you might have said, okay, if in doubt, Morgan can kind of help him out, and vice versa with, Vinny, if he had been next, well, I don't know, Metz is still pretty young himself, but I don't know that he's going to help him too much. But even, by Jakari. So we put some pressure onto Jakari to make sure that he can, kind of be a rock there for those guys. And that's what you're excited about, is to see a lot of young guys. Not that Harp's a young guy, but he's a young guy in the sense he hasn't played a ton. And Vinny's, even though it was his third year, he's still a really young guy and is playing time, just like those freshman corners, or just like some of those freshman DBs that are playing a lot on special teams. Their ability when the lights come on to perform and not, go the other direction, I think is something that looks really good and is really good for our program.
Regarding pressure, is there any added to the fact that you guys are coming off a big win to go on the road and follow it up with another win?
No, I don't really think there's that much difference, to be honest. I think getting over the, obviously the thrill of victory and the euphoria and those kinds of things is first. But I don't to do a repeat performance. It's not like we were sitting here, preseason all this and now you got to worry about something kind of. No, I just think that we keep ourselves in line for what's really important, and that's why yes, it's a great game and it's an exciting game, but put it with what it is. It's another one game, and yes, they're the best and they've been the best in the league, but it's another one game. And for our ability to put that behind us and continue to move on, pressure is what you make of it.
Do you have any update on the health of those guys who missed on the O-line on Friday?
Who's that?
Cooper and Berg.
Coop will not make it back. I don't know that he'll make it back this year. And then Ferg, hopefully. We'll see. Today's Tuesday, and we'll go out there today. And, he battled to get back last week. And, early in the week we thought he would make it. By about Wednesday, I didn't really think that he would make it. But, he was still battling to try. And, taped it up there before to see if he could go. But there wasn't a way to, that he could help the team. So hopefully we'll see him out there today and see what he can do and see how he feels by Wednesday and Thursday.
Last year, you guys go 11-2, get a big bowl win, you're 4-1, beat the best in the conference for the last couple of years. Is this what you envisioned coming in this program when you got here? Now you're seeing it kind of come to play?
I think the first thing that you envision is the ability to do things together. And yes, the wins are what everybody outside gets noticed, but even after the first 2 wins, we were 2-1, it didn't feel the same way. And you can't say that UCLA wasn't a huge win, and you can't say that beating your rivals for the 13th time in a row is not a huge win. So I always try to tell them at the beginning of the year, we don't let the outside determine what success is to us. We weren't successful last year just because we were 11-2. We were successful because of the way we did it, and to end it the way we did with, a senior quarterback that hadn't played all year, that stuck with it, and that's a sign that it's a really good football team. Whether they were 11-2 or 8-3 or 7-4, a really good football team that did things the right way. And I think where we're headed is that direction. Yes, we're 4-1, and that gets noticed, but where we were after week 3, even though you're 2-1, is a bit different than I think where we are with just the energy and the things that are going on.
Did you get a verdict on Sauce's nickname?
No, I'll let the players kind of do that. So as things happen today in practice and things like that, you kind of keep a little ear there to see what they refer to him as. And he can't self-proclaim it. We can't give it to him as a coach. It's got to be something that's done within that locker room, and we'll see.